Hello and welcome back to the sixth episode of our series Behind the Automation, Processes, Businesses, and More. Till now, we have discussed many different topics. We have talked about how automation should be implemented. How do you start with pilot projects? How do you start with gathering the requirements or finding the right tool, finding the right technology or platform, many things. But today we are going to talk something different than all these topics. Today we are going to talk about managing the automation post implementation. So it's not just a one time task that you build the automation, you just publish them and they start running. The post implementation I think is more important as important it is implementing the automations as well. So hi Shripad, welcome again for our sixth video of this series that we are doing.
Thank you, Parth. It's a pleasure to be on your channel and contribute on these podcasts. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shripad. So, like you just heard, that I introduced to a topic that today we are going to talk about the post-implementation part. So, we always talk about, right? We should follow these best practices, naming conventions, annotations, and all that technical things we are talking about. But then after that, after the implementation is done, the hypercare is completed, there is still always a scope of optimizing the process or optimizing the automations and enhancing it more for the future changes that could be coming in the business, right? So, what are your views on managing the post implementation of the automation?
I think that is one of the critical stage for a COE as well as for the automation life cycle. Uh,
Hmm,
and the most ignored part uh, in the COE also. Okay, wherein if you see most of the money is burnt on requirement gathering and
hmm, hmm.
development, but
Right, right,
less of budget is allocated to the support. And if you
correct.
see the developers' age or the tenurity is also uh, too less to be looked at. So what
Hmm,
you're doing is you're building a beautiful automation which will deliver great deal of ROI. But to maintain it, you don't have a solid engineer who could look at
right,
the
right.
entire workflow and recommend what should be done. So I think that's one of the critical thought process that needs to be changed.
Hmm,
Support for the automation is absolute critical as the build or the requirement gathering is
hmm,
because if your bot can run consistently without a
right,
downtime,
right,
it's going to speak high about your development, but at the same time, it is happening only because of the monitoring that is continuously happening
correct, correct.
and the fixes that are deployed
Hmm,
at the back end, okay, which is
hmm,
enabling
hmm.
the automation to run end to end.
Right.
We also tend to forget that if your post support mechanism or the service
Hmm.
or the monitoring is not up to the mark, there are less
Right.
chances of the automation being scalable. Okay.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Right.
and that is where me leading a COE at my end, okay, has
Hmm.
got me a lot of benefits because most of my bots that I have worked in my entire experience, okay,
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
have been have been scaled to
Right.
getting integrated with ML or AI or getting integrated with
Awesome.
various other applications and
Hmm.
various
Hmm.
CRs populating on it. Okay, and that
Right.
is only
Right.
possible when you have a strong support team. So if you're asking
Right.
me a question,
Right.
why support team, then the answer
Hmm.
is it's an incredible
And
and an important part of COE for
right.
sure.
And it's also similar. Like, see, when we buy any electronic product or when we buy any product, right, we tend to check that does it have service center in your area? Because we are sure that we will use it carefully. It won't cause any problems in the future, whatever 1, 2 year warranties we have. But we still tend to check that if it is the service center nearby my area, then it is good that if some problem happens, then I can just go it over there and it can be repaired or changed. So
Hmm,
I think that
hmm,
same concept also applies over here, that the ones who make the product and the ones who maintain the product, their both knowledge should be equal. Like there should not be any difference in that. And along with that as well, the knowledge transfer, right? In many cases, I have seen, right, when the knowledge transfer is supposed to be done to the support team. It's just a 1 hour meeting. The developer shares the screen. They just show, okay, these are the things, and they will just end it. So the knowledge transfer is completed within that 1 hour. But I think more time should be spent on that as well, because automation would definitely have many important logics, right? Where the developer might have just thought of some solution, some ad hoc solutions as well. That okay, let me just implement this and build it for now. But for the support person to know about all of it, it is more important than the developer just knowing it as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think how you do a transition of a project
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
BAU, similarly, you should do a transition of your automation
To the
from
support
develop
team.
to the support team, and that is where
Correct.
the hypercare of 2 weeks come into play. My prescription would be the first week, you let the project team manage it, and the second
Hmm.
week you let the
Right.
support team shadow it,
Right.
sorry, deliver it, and the project team shadows it. Now,
Correct.
during this phase, in the first phase, you should have daily 1 hour knowledge transfer sessions
Hmm. Hmm.
wherein they take you through, the project team takes you through the entire development that has been
Correct.
delivered, what sort of activities have been used, uh, along with the STD. Okay,
Hmm.
not just random explanation.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct. Hmm.
so this is how you cover your 5 days, 5 hours KT, and the
Hmm.
next week you do a reverse transition, okay, or a
Hmm.
reverse
Hmm.
KT, wherein if there are any bugs, then the support team starts fixing it with the project team
Right.
coming into play, and that is where you would get to know lots of steps being missed out by the project team with the
Hmm.
thought process that the support team will pick it up.
Pick
Why
it up.
should I
Right.
share this information?
Right.
It's all right.
Right. Right.
I think this human behavior could get curtailed, and what you have to do is you should have some milestones set up in these 2 weeks, wherein there
Hmm.
should be the RPA project or the program manager having a stand-up call wherein he's checking if the PDDs and
Correct.
STDs are reviewed. Both are signing it off, like the project team and the support
Hmm.
team, so that
Support
you
team.
have a conclusion saying yes, the KT is done
Right.
with the
Hmm.
documentation. Then you
Correct.
also look at the test scripts. You also look at the test data that was infused, and
Right.
further you also look at the KPIs that were agreed to be delivered with business. Okay,
Hmm.
and finally, if it is human in the loop, that means business coming into play. Then you need to
Hmm.
also understand that you should keep your support team informed on what is expected out of business.
Correct.
Otherwise, what would happen is business would start raising incidents, and the
Hmm.
support team
Hmm.
would have no clue about what needs to be
Right.
delivered. So I think there should be a proper transition also, which will
Right.
really make your post-implementation support stronger. That's
Right.
my recommendation. Yeah.
Right. And I think during the complete automation development process, right, there are many assumptions that a developer takes into consideration. I think that should also be very rightly shared with the support team, so they also know about that these were the assumptions that were considered, and we should be aware about it, because they will think that okay, this is missing. They will raise a change request, or a business will raise a change request for that. But that is not the case, because that was a assumption or a mutual understanding during the development within the business and the development team. So I think there should be a list of that as well, which is maintained so that it does not affect the business on the later stage.
Yeah, rightly pointed. I think that's the key over here. And with infused technologies like Gen AI coming into play,
Hmm.
I think the support team becomes more crucial is because training
Right.
of the models
Right.
uh, is always in the hands of the business, because business knows what needs to be
Hmm.
labeled,
Hmm. Hmm.
what activity needs to be taken into consideration. Are they having, are they controlling the bias, yes or no? So all these activities are done by business. But
Correct. Correct.
since you don't have the project team coming into play, it's a support team who is going to overlook these activities.
Hmm.
Whether the
Hmm.
model score is correct, is it optimum? Are there
Right.
underperforming labels? What's the balance? All
Hmm.
these trainings have to be equipped to the support
Yeah.
team. Now, if you are very ignorant about your support team, then for sure the Gen AI deployed models or
Hmm.
automations will not work. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
this is the other perspective that I want to give it to you, that if you
Hmm.
are looking at getting into an intelligent automation sort of a deliverable,
Hmm.
then you
Hmm.
should
Hmm.
start spending more money on the support team. Your
Okay.
support team should be more knowledgeable, more powerful than your dev team, because
Right.
they would have more knowledge sitting with them
Hmm.
after the bot has been released into production. So
Right. Right.
it's a
That is
it's a
correct.
reverse fact now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was very insightful, Shripad. The points that you shared, starting right from the documentation or the knowledge transfer as well, right? Any final thoughts that you would like to share before we end the discussion on this topic?
See, I think I've been a big fan of automation, but
Hmm.
my simple thought is your automation can scale as long as you have a good imagination. Okay. If your
Right.
imagination is poor, your
Hmm.
automation is not going to be relentless or sustainable. And
Right.
always the thought should be to deploy relentless, sustainable bots which can be
Correct.
scaled and
Correct.
not just deliver for a particular short period of time. I think that's how
Right.
I would like to end this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was also insightful. Thank you so much again, Shripad. And let's bring more interesting videos for the audience on different topics. And if you are seeing this video till the end, and if you have any suggestions on the non-technical side or the business side of the automation, or you would like to understand some terminology or some process or some phases of the project life cycle, right? Please feel free to comment that in the comment section, and myself and Shripad will be happy to make a video on that as well. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you, Shripad.
Thanks, Parth. Take care.
Yep.